Hi everyone, it is Marie here, and yes, I haven't spoken to you for a couple of weeks. Feels like forever. Well, I kind of have and I haven't been in here. Oh gosh, the office is a mess, absolute mess at the minute, because as you may or may not know, I've been away with Knit August Nights, and the videos that I have been appearing in have been actually with the wonderful Nathan Taylor and zooming around in the mill and things like that. And I'm now sort of, gosh, look at me. What a fright. This is my 18th day straight working, and I've gotten to a point now that I don't really quite know whether I'm coming or going. But it's good because I finally got back here in the office. It's been over a week since I've been here, and have been clearing a mountain of email. But I want to get loads of things all cleaned up and finished up because I'm sort of buzzing off again next week, and I just wanted to make sure that I touch base with you because it's the end of the month tomorrow and we've got new themes and I've got lots of stuff I want to talk about before I go away and fill you in. So let's get started. Just for me, I've loved this. I have seen so many people post projects that they have just loved, and they have done, oh gosh, look at that, bleepity bleep 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 bleep. So many projects which have been just for themselves, and they've been enjoying them. They've been having so much fun completing things. And if you may or may not have seen on the main page here this morning, Lizzie is finished. Right, gratuitous large backside shot now here, people. Look at this. We're done. Now I've quite aggressively blocked this, as you can see by the points, but I wanted to do that because I wanted to get that lace nice and open. Look at that. There's the other side there, and you can see on the back there. Can you see on the back? Yes, there you go. Just out of shot. That nice little bit of cabling detail. I've made my sleeves a wee bit longer because I wanted this as a transitional cardigan, and I also haven't added in the pattern. It has quite a few increases after this cable portion here to have these as quite flary sleeves. I've not done that. I've just kept mine tight, and that's because, very practical reason for that, I'm a messy eater, and if I have flary sleeves, then I get the sleeves in my food, and that's just a very good look, is it? So yes, so I have just made a couple of little adjustments, and it was wonderful. It was really, really wonderful, is that I had this all finished and I was able to wear it and show it off to Georgie, who has designed this beautiful cardigan, and Miss Jane, and loads of other patterns, as you know that I'm a huge Georgie fangirl. And Georgie was out this past weekend for Knit August Nights, and I'm going to tell you quite a funny story. We managed to sit down and have some lunch one of the days for Knit August Nights. I think it was, I can't remember, might have been Saturday. I was sitting there, and there was Georgie and her daughter, myself, Nathan, Sockmatician, and his sister, Sam. And as we were sitting there, Nathan's looking at this cardigan, and he goes, gosh, that cardigan is fabulous. Wow, who's that? Who designed that? And Georgie was sitting right there, which was just really, really quite funny. And I said, yes, Georgie, who did design this? So I'm absolutely thrilled with it. I really am thrilled with it. And it's, before you go, oh, that lace, not hard at all. It is, seriously, it's only about it's a short repeat. And they're essentially, there's only 2 different rows in it, and they're offset, and that's it. So it's not hard. I've done this in Filatura de Crosa Pamir, which we had as part of our importers clearance a few months back, and that has all gone. However, it is exactly the same construction and count as All Fine, and you could also use the new Sockmatician edition yarn on this as well, because it will get gauged 3.5mm needle, 20, I think it was 23 or 24 stitch tension. I used, so on both of those, Sockmatician or All Fine, you'll be looking at 8 balls. So it's about, I did around 1,350 odd, 60 odd meters. For me, I can't exactly remember. I think it was either a 46-inch size that I did, 44 or 46. And that, to me, if you're wondering my clothing size, I'm a size 22, pretty standard. So that's what I've done. I do have to have a giggle though. Spoke to many of you I met for the first time at Middlesex Nights, and I got more than once, "You are much larger in real life." And yes, I am. For those who've not met me, I'm 5'10" and a bit tall, so I'm quite tall, and yes, I am quite large in real life. Larger than life, which is good. I don't mind that at all. So never believe, honestly, you will never offend me with anything like that. I'm pretty bulletproof. Yeah, so I'm really, really, really happy about this, and I'm so happy I got it done in time for the Middlesex Nights. So I am just delighted, and so I have been busy today. I have spoken to, and buggery bollocks, I've left it downstairs. I have spoken to the wonderful, wonderful Brenda Green this morning, who designed the Dulcet shawl, which we gave packs out away a couple of weeks ago. She has just released a new pattern called the Outlandish Cowl, which is a beautiful cowl done in 3 toned colours. I'll actually post up all the links for that. It is absolutely stunning. We've actually got the sample here in the shop, knitted in Vanitas by Outlaw, but I have actually put together some cowl packs for that, and Brenda has very kindly agreed to give away a pattern each to go with those as well. So those patterns are worth $8 and plus the yarn. So the winners of those are Manic Maiden, well done, Manic Maiden, Tanya Irons and Wendy Hutchins, all drawn by random for their Just For Me posts. So I will get those out to you. I'll flick you a note once I've done with all of this, and we'll get those out to you ASAP. So yes, no, so I'm really thrilled that so many of you got behind Just For Me and actually were quite selfish about your knitting and did stuff for yourself, which was really good to see. The next thing, because then of course it's the 30th of August today, I know, but that means there's only 2 more days left in winter. Spring will be arriving on the weekend. So I actually thought for September, because I'm actually away overseas for a huge chunk of September, so I'm not going to be around. So my posting is going to be more of the what I'm knitting whilst I'm away and a bit sporadic. If you don't hear from me, there might be some delays in getting messages answered, or if you're not sure about anything, if you're actually in the speakeasy or on the main page, a lot of you often will tag me to ask or answer questions. If you know, because there is going to be a time difference, so I may not be able to get to stuff as quite quickly as I hope, and I'm not always going to be an internet connection. Claire Taylor, who is my #1 right-hand woman, she will be around and she'll be able to answer any of those sorts of things if I can't get to them in time. So I've been wanting to do something because it is spring and through September that works, and I've actually come up, this month's theme is going to be called Area 51. And you think to yourself, okay, why have you done that? Area 51, I've done that obviously because that's the weird place in Roswell, New Mexico, where they put all things like UFOs and stuff. Oh, UFOs. Unfinished objects, for those who aren't up to the acronyms of knitting. Spring cleaning. Are we there? Connection? Yes. I think it's time that we have a bit of a spring clean. How many UFOs have you got? They could be UFOs from some of our previous months. You've got a Marinami shawl still sitting around. Is there still a Miss Jane lurking from earlier in the year? Let's use September to get all of these cleaned up. I have got a design that I started, a wrap I started, which is 2/3 of the way through for Albertine, and then I promptly shelved it because Albertine has sold so well that we're waiting for a new spin batch to come through, and so I've actually sort of sat on that because there's no point releasing something if we haven't got the yarn to sell. But that is my UFO, so I've got that sitting there. We've all got them. In fact, I've got 2 UFOs, which is so not like me. But let's spring clean, people. It's all about spring cleaning in September. Spring clean September, or Area 51, I think we'll call it. Make it nice and easy to track it down. I want to know what your dirty little unfinished object project is, and I want you to clean that project up for me in September. So then coming into October, November and through the summer, there are some really incredible pattern releases I know that are coming out that we can get stuck into as a group and actually start knitting and really enjoy. So that, I think, is going to be a really fun thing to do. So I need to start hunting some of those down. And but in saying that though, I will show you what I have cast on. Did you know Knit August Nights was on? I did not knit one single stitch the whole time. I know people there, hundreds of people knitting everywhere. Me, no. But I did finally manage on the Sunday, after it was all said and done. I had picked up, I'm going to show you this because it's off one of our naked base yarns. This, and it's all going to fall pieces on me. There we go. Let's put that back in there. You see that? Oh, there we go. That's a good shot of it. This is called 1931. And for those who know their New Zealand history, 1931 was the year of the Hawke's Bay earthquake, which absolutely decimated Napier. February 3rd, 1931 to be exact. And this is the souvenir skein from Believing Art, and Believing Art is one of our local indie dyers here in Napier, so we're so lucky to have Alice here locally. So and of course, I'm not being very original here, but I am making another Nyada because we know that I love Nyada more than anything really. It's my favourite shawl pattern. There we go, that's a better one. So it's actually just coming up really lovely and speckled and beautiful, just with those simple scalloped increases and decreases. So this is my plain knitting, because I'm going to be on the plane for many hours next week, and I need something that is simple, straightforward, and not too taxing. So that's for me next week, what I've got on. So you'll possibly see updates of that as I'm heading away. And I have to show you this, because this is my project bag, which I also got from Alice, and I love it. But look, this is my zombie project bag. Isn't that the coolest thing you've ever seen? I love it. Love it. Anyway, I digress. Can. I've got a list. Look, I am organised, honest. Actually, no, before I get to Can, I'm going to talk a little bit about Speakeasy first while we're on the topic of Speakeasy and our new theme, because I've also loved this week everybody's stash enhancement photos from our little mini Can sale that we had for those 5 days across Can. Wow, you guys have really been busy, and actually I thought I'd share. I've just printed a few of the images off Speakeasy, so if you haven't joined Speakeasy yet, do make sure you do that, because there's lots of conversation going on there. But I just wanted to share some of the projects, because there have been some wicked projects, some really amazing projects shared. And the first one's from Mary Rose. She only put this up earlier today, and I've shared it because she's gone and knitted something in the Loyal pattern prints. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? And I think that one is, oh, there we go. I think that one's called George. I'm not 100%, but isn't that absolutely gorgeous? Look at that. I mean, for a little bloke, and I mean, it doesn't show the colours because I've printed up, but just that striping, and I mean, it just makes a really plain knit look super, super, super fun. Those are the Loyal pattern prints, which are on the sale page. They're only $3.95 bought for 100% machine washable wool, and they are super squishy. No, not quite merino soft, but not far off. They are really, the softness and the squish on that stuff is actually fantastic. So Mary Rose, thank you for putting that up. I am delighted, because it's one of those yarns that it's difficult to see what it looks like knitted up on board. So those are the full shades, Seinfeld shades as I call them. There's obviously Elaine, George, Kramer and Jerry, and they all stripe. And then the others, which are named after the musical terms, because they've got little staccato-y stippling prints on them, a little bit like a certain famous sock yarn that we all know and love. So, yeah, thanks, Mary Rose. I think that's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I'm so delighted that you posted that. And as part of what's a big chatter on Speakeasy, and was part of Cannes that had happened this weekend was the simultaneous launch of Floozy, which is the new design from Libby Johnson, aka Trudy Myrtle. And again, massive Libby supporter, huge Libby fan here. I mean, I'm not very exciting, am I? I keep rolling out my favourites and because I just love them. And Libby also was attending the August Nights. So many of you, I know, met her if you attended Cannes as a delegate or if you popped along on Sunday to the market. And she was there with her Floozy samples, along with a number of the test knitters for Floozy were also in attendance with their samples that they'd knitted. And the Floozy cardigan was named after the yarn collaboration she did with Yarn Floozy. But there's also a lot of people are pulling out different yarns and bits and full place and stuff that they have in their stash. And the new Sockmatician edition yarn, it's just perfect timing. It is the perfect yarn for Floozies. And have I still got the picture just sitting here handy? Yes, I have. So, of course, in case anyone hasn't looked it up, that's Floozy there. And we've got these colours there. You can actually emulate those colours. And I do a bit of a lean over here. Here we go. And Sockmatician edition. So that's her sample cardigan there. And there we go. We've got Garland, which is the yellow, Montagne, which is the red, and Milk, which is the grey. But more importantly, we've also had, again, you guys sharing your Floozy combinations on Speak Easy, which is, again, fantastic because so many of us are still, I mean, I'm definitely going to do a Floozy. I love it because it is sized up to almost 60 inches. And I thanked Libby for that over the weekend, having those larger sizes out there. Actually, this is an aside, one of the conversations that Libby and I did have, so we were talking about sizing, and so I thanked you very, very much for doing that. I said it makes such a huge difference out there for those of us who are a little bit more generously proportioned. But one of the things we talked about was actually how often, for those of us who are of more generous proportions, the number one mistake that we often make is that we tend to overestimate our size as opposed to underestimating it. And one of the things that we do is we actually measure ourselves incorrectly. And I'll be the first to put my hand up. I've talked about this before. I did it for years and years and years. I read Isolde Teague's preface in her book Little Red in the City. If you haven't read it, please do. It's available in libraries and online. And in there, she dedicates an entire chapter, and is a big part of her preface, on how to measure yourself correctly. And Libby is a real stickler around this too, because those measurements are important to get your fit right. And one of the things I discovered as I was doing the classic, now this is the gratuitous grab our boobs part of the thing, I was measuring myself to here, which is the widest part of my bust line. Now, I'm not the most overly endowed woman out there. I'm pretty average for most Kiwi ladies. But of course, if I'm measuring to here, it meant that when I was knitting for my shoulders, things were doing this and slipping off and driving me crazy. What you actually need to do is measure your bust measurement to about here. Then your shoulders, you're actually finding that you get a better fit through the shoulders. And what you can do, depending on how well endowed you are, or if you're anything like me, I'm not so worried about this, but I am worried about the good old classic mummy tummy. Hey, I have it. I don't really want to put it on display, but I don't mind if something's a little bit tighter around the bust. There are a couple of little tricks that you can do with bust increases, or my favourite little trick is I will quite often, underneath the arm here, will pop a wee marker in and actually put a very discreet set of increases across over a 12 or anywhere between a 12 and 20 row interval, just a really subtle set of increasing, because I am a classic triangle in terms of my shape. So, you know, I want to make sure that I can have a little bit more room through the hips. There's lots of little quirks and tricks that you can do. So again, had this conversation with Libs around that, you know, because she is now designing and releasing her designs. Timely's now gone up to the larger designs, as I said, Floozy. So it is a great cardigan that if you're wanting to find me, if you are particularly a large, you know, 16 plus size, and you think, no, I am going to knit something for myself and do it, her patterns are fantastic. Georgie's again also fantastic, but she has this larger size. So I have just noticed in the last couple of days some people have really cracked on with their floozies over the weekend. And the best part is we've got some floozies starting in Sockmatician edition because it's only been out a week. And this is the first one, and this one is from Solange, and she has done that beautiful, look at that beautiful green and Featherston. And it's just nice to see because you can see that lovely soft colour graduation. And as soon as I saw that Solange, if you like that green, and I've got one just actually sitting here, there we go, one that I prepared earlier, sitting here, this is the Featherston, very, very close to the green that I've got on. So if you're wanting to do Lizzie in this green, this Featherston would be fantastic. But as you can see, honestly, Solange, keep posting once you start getting to the colour portions in the yoke. I'm dying to see how the rest of those colours translate out, knowing the colours that you've selected. So I think that looks fantastic. And then the other one, travelling a little bit further down with their colour selections, is this one here from Debbie. Look at that. Now, Debbie has got the Baker, which is the purple, which the purple doesn't really show terribly well here. Garland, which is gold, and Milk. Isn't that stunning? And Claire loved that so much this morning when she saw it. She's been umming and ahhing about her floozy that she wants to knit. She said, Debbie, as soon as she saw this, decision made. So thank you to both of you for posting those, because it really does get us all inspired. So I've seen plenty of you with little floozy ball combinations. Once you get it going, I really do want to see those combos running and see what things look like, because they do look fantastic. And it looks like it's a really satisfying project to knit. And then obviously with the Sockmatician edition, Nathan has been here from the UK over the weekend, and he has had a wonderful time. He is absolutely loving. He loved Napier, loved Knit August Nights. He's now currently, as we speak, in Dunedin. He's teaching there, and he flies tomorrow, Saturday, I think Saturday actually, to Wellington, and he's got classes in Wellington. And in fact, that's through the Holland Road Yarn Company. I think there could be still a couple of spaces left for those classes, so contact Tash at the Holland Road Yarn Company if you want to get in on those. And then from there he's driving to New Plymouth, and then from New Plymouth to Auckland. So he's still got a pretty full book, but his yarn has gone absolutely great guns. We ended up doing the fastest bulking and balling in the West the other day because we'd run out of milk, and we now have we've got some more in, and we have the final base yarn in the batch has been milked, and I think we're going to put it in Delavery, there we go, which is the two greys. So, and spoken to Peter this morning about getting batch 2 down. So that will be later in the year, but we're going to get that on the board now and get it happening. It has been such a massive success, and we want to make sure that you guys get an opportunity to get that. And Nathan is absolutely thrilled with it. If you didn't get a chance to catch up with this video about how personal the range was to him, please do, because it is something really quite special. And I have to say, I mean, he hadn't seen all of them in their entirety, all the yarns in their entirety. I've been very sneaky and only sent him pre-samples of Montagnier, Garland and Milk, so he hadn't got the full effect of the rainbow. Like he hadn't seen them together. And so when we first met this time last week, I had everything out, and yeah, I showed them to him, and he probably burst into tears. So, which tears of joy, but it was pretty emotional, and it was such a delight and such a joy to be able to do that project with him, and I'm really excited now about the designs and the things that we're going to do with it moving forward, which I think is going to be so much fun. What else have I got coming up? TV commercial. I've had loads of you tell me that you've seen it. Great. That means that it's a good thing. That was a really fun thing to do. We're going to hopefully continue that and spread the Skeins message out there, which will be fantastic. That commercial is currently screening on Choice TV and House and Garden TV at the moment. And we've still got coming up, but wait, there's more. Still coming up to the end of the year, the Southlander that I did mention before, coming into a 12-ply and a 4-ply. Those are literally the very first of those have just come through balling this week. So I will get, once all of that is through, which should be by the time I get back in about 3 weeks' time, I will get those up and ready. Up and available for you upon my return, which will be really, really cool actually. So in fact, the new colour, there is a couple of new colours. One new colour, hold on, here we go. I've got the, in case anyone wonders, this is how I do a lot of the, I'll spin it around this way. This is how I do a lot of the product development that we have. If anyone's ever been in my office there, other than the mess, there is lots of cards with lots of little shaggy bits of yarn on them. So what we have there is the existing range in Southlander, and what we have over here are the 3 new shades that are going to get added to it. So a much richer red and berry, a much, much richer blue, and this lovely saffron, which is sitting in caking at the moment, and it's even come up more saffrony than that in the flesh. It looks fantastic. So when it comes to doing colour work, it will look amazing. And in fact, by the time they all come through, if you're wanting to do a more rustic style floozy as opposed to a fine wool style floozy, these will look mint. Absolutely fantastic. So I'm really excited about those. So hopefully I'll have all of them up to show you when I'm back. But in the meantime, enjoy your yarn, keep posting. Start thinking about your UFOs. I want to start seeing what you've got hidden in the nooks and crevices of your knitting stash, or in my case, stuck by the side of my chair. And let's see if we can get those all cleaned up, have a bit of a spring clean, and then we'll get on to some really exciting stuff from October. So in the meantime, I will talk to you again. I might talk to you again on Monday, but if you don't hear from me for a while, I'll try and keep up to date here and there upon my travels, and then we'll have a good old chat when I get back. So until then, have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you again soon.